Okay, hello and welcome to the video. My name is Wade Daniel Smith, and in this video, I'm really not going to talk about Isshinryu Karate per se. I'm going to talk about MMA, specifically at the 185-pound weight class, because that's actually the most loaded weight class in the UFC right now is 185. Um, I'm supposed to be 185, but I have severe type 2 diabetes, and it's been really hard for me to cut weight. Last time I tried to cut weight back to 185, I must have run 1,000 freaking flights of stairs and didn't even lose 1 ounce. So I don't know what to do else because I was eating correctly and still couldn't lose weight. So in fact, it seems like the harder I try, the harder it is to lose weight. But anyway, besides all that, um, the question I'm going to address is why did Israel Adesanya get beat by Sean Strickland, and then Sean Strickland got beat by Duplessi, and Sean Strickland's style is actually pretty much a hard counter to Israel Adesanya. I'm not going to tell you the whole secret, but Sean Strickland, as you may recall, probably won the first round 10-8 if you judged him fairly, because even though Adesanya got in some licks in the first half of the round, near the end of the first round, Sean Strickland landed 20 some odd unanswered blows, most of them to Adesanya's face. All right. And so to me, that's a 10-8 round. But there is a trick to Sean Strickland's fighting style, which is that against Adesanya, at least he did this, he threw snap kicks, just enough front straight snap kicks and thrust kicks to control the range and pace of the fight against Adesanya. All right. Adesanya is really good at roundhouse kicks, and don't get me wrong, there's a place for roundhouse kicks, but the person throwing straight kicks is going to land their kick before the person throwing roundhouse kicks, literally 9 times out of 10, even if you have the best roundhouse kicker in the world throwing the kicks. Because it's a law of mathematics. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. So the person throwing straight kicks has an advantage over the person concentrating on roundhouse kicks. And I don't know why he doesn't get this, because his buddy Kamaru Usman, who's I think gained weight to fight at 185 now, his buddy Kamaru Usman used a lot of straight kicks and fewer roundhouse kicks. So I don't know why Adesanya hasn't learned anything from his best friend, but they don't seem to learn anything from one another because they both make different mistakes for different reasons. But I think Usman is the better fighter between the two, to give you the honest to God's opinion, because I'm not going to discuss what they are, but Adesanya has at least 2 major flaws in his fighting style, and Sean Strickland was able to take advantage of one of those, but the other one nobody has ever been able to take advantage of, even though it should be pretty obvious what to do. All right. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what the other flaw is in his fighting style, but it's there and it's pretty obvious to me. So Sean Strickland threw just enough front straight kicks to control the range and pace of the fight when they were needed against Adesanya. But then when you look at the Duplessi fight between Sean Strickland and Duplessi, for whatever reason, he chose not to throw very many straight kicks at all, if any. I don't even know if he threw a single straight kick in the fight. And apparently he might have been afraid that Dricus was going to get hold of his leg and go for a single leg takedown. But you can't let yourself get worked into that, because you're farthest forward facing. You don't want to be at arm's length with Duplessi. All right. At least no closer than wrist to wrist length anyway, because he's going to beat you with his wrestling skills. All right. So when you fight somebody that you're pretty sure is a better grappler than you are, you actually want to work your striking and keep your outside angles. And if you ever square up against him, you want to throw a front snap kick and get back out of there, throw that snap kick out there and back away at an angle and keep him from shooting in on you and closing distance. But for whatever reason, Sean Strickland had a brain freeze against him and let himself get pigeonholed into the idea that he couldn't throw kicks because he might get taken down with a single leg takedown. And then, as we all know, he got taken down several times anyway, and mostly lost the fight because of takedowns. So you can't get pigeonholed into not throwing your front snap kick and your front thrust kick when you fight a grappler, because then you're just going to lose for some other reason. All right. You want to keep working your jab and you especially want to work your front snap kick and your front thrust kick at all times against a grappler, because you want them at your foot's range. You really don't want them in wrist to wrist range, or certainly not any closer than that to you, or you're going to be in real trouble if you're not as good of a grappler as them. Okay. So, what I would recommend to someone like Sean Strickland is try to out grapple Adesanya next time if he ever fights him again, but also work those front kicks just like he did the last time. And if he ever fights Dricus Duplessis again, sure as hell don't try to grapple with him. Work his jab and work his front snap kick and front thrust kick twice as much as he did against Adesanya, or ever does against Adesanya. All right. He needs to be throwing a front snap kick or a front thrust kick literally every 10 to 15 seconds against Dricus Duplessis, at least, and do that the entire fight for all 5 rounds if it goes 5 rounds. That's how much you need to be throwing that snap kick and thrust kick against a grappler. All right. You want them to, don't be predictable with it by any means, but you want to do some foot feints and some jabs to keep them guessing. But against the grappler, you can't get pigeonholed into not throwing kicks, or you're just going to lose for some other reason. They'll get hold of you, and that'll be the end of it. They'll close distance, and that'll be the end of it, which is exactly what happened to him. I think Sean Strickland could have beaten him had he kept his wits about him and not got pigeonholed like that. So that's my opinion on those 2 fights. And I think Sean Strickland is the better of the 3 fighters. It's just that against Duplessis, he, for whatever reason, had that brain freeze and got pigeonholed into not kicking. And those 3 are probably the 3 best fighters in the whole UFC at any weight class. The only possible exception in my mind is Kamaru Usman, and even he's not perfect. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and that's the end of the video.